The Los Angeles Lakers are in trouble. After going all in to make another finals run, the Lakers failed to make the play-in. How do they move forward as a team, and what do we have to look forward to as fans of round 2 of the NBA playoffs? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of the Box Out Podcast. I'm your host, Nate Mendez. Welcome. Thank you all for tuning in. A lot of interesting stuff to talk about. Lakers offseason plans, some interesting playoff matchups. Let's just hop right on into it, shall we? Going into the season, the Los Angeles Lakers were being talked about as the favorites to win the Western Conference. They had a 37-year-old LeBron James who was still dominating the league the year before. They had one of the best power forwards when healthy in Anthony Davis. And they just acquired the all-star guard, Russell Westbrook. Very, very prolific point guard, rebounds, triple-doubles, he could do it all. Lakers are going into the season looking like the favorites to win the Western Conference. Well, as you expected, Anthony Davis got injured. That put a hole in some of their plans, but not to worry. They still have Russell Westbrook and LeBron, right? That didn't work. Russell Westbrook is a star that needs the ball in his hands, and with LeBron, he was not able to do that. And because he's not that great of a shooter, he couldn't play off ball that well, and the Lakers season kind of just crumbled, went into flames. It was just a dumpster fire. It was awful. Watching those games, LeBron was either the only one that tried, or he didn't try at all. They were just painful to watch. But not to worry. The Lakers have a lot of cap space for this upcoming free agency, right? Also, no. Let's look at some of the numbers. Going into the offseason, the Lakers have $0 in cap space. The only thing that they could really use is the taxpayer mid-level exception, which is about $6.2 million a year. Their needs, they need about everything. 3-point shooting, defense, and just health in general. With Anthony Davis, that team would have been at least better and would have made the playoffs. But without Anthony Davis, that team was just crumbling and just awful. Their notable free agents, Carmelo Anthony and Malik Monk. Now, despite the awful Lakers season, Malik Monk was just a bright spot in that offense. You know, a young two-guard, could really shoot the ball really well, was able to facilitate and be a secondary option for the Lakers. However, with a championship team, Malik Monk should not be your second option. Great player. I believe he's earned himself a little bit more than $6.2 million per year. I think he's probably going to be getting some better offers elsewhere, and I don't think he's going to be coming back to the Lakers. Carmelo Anthony, he's old, but he's an excellent shooter still in his old age. Carmelo was their second best 3-point shooter after Malik Monk. Very good teammates, very good friends with LeBron James, and I'm pretty sure he'll be re-signing back on a veteran's minimum. Now, this is just going to be an interesting offseason for the Lakers in general. They can't really do a lot unless they trade some of their main guys. Now, you're not going to trade LeBron James. He's LeBron James. The only person that could trade LeBron James is LeBron himself. Le GM, if you will. Very amazing player. He almost won the scoring title, so he had a very amazing year. However, he can't do it by himself. LeBron James is 37 years old, going on 57, and he just can't carry a team like he used to anymore. He needs some other stars, and he needs a star to be able to be on the floor when he's on the floor. With Anthony Davis, you can't have that. Anthony Davis is very injury prone, nicknamed Anthony Data Davis. That just tells you how that has worked with the Los Angeles Lakers. So you can't have that as your secondary star. And then Russell Westbrook, he can't play off ball. He's not a great shooter. He's a decent facilitator, but he needs the ball in his hands to facilitate, and he just can't do that. So going into the season, one of the main priorities is for the Lakers to try to re-sign Malik Monk. If they can't re-sign Malik Monk, the free agent target that they should go after is TJ Warren. Now, I get it. He's coming off 2 years off of an ACL tear, but TJ Warren is still a solidified bucket. I watched him in Phoenix. I watched him in the bubble. He still can get it done, and that should probably be the main move for the Lakers moving forward. After coming off that injury, he shouldn't be asking for a lot, and I believe $6 million will be able to get it done. Now for the interesting part. In order for the Lakers to make some moves, they got to move somebody. And the odd man out is probably Russell Westbrook. He has a $44 million player option, which, of course, he'll accept. It's $44 million. I would accept that. I don't care if I'm playing trash. I'm accepting $44 million to play the next season. Lakers, probably not too keen on paying him, so they'll probably look to ship him out. Now, I get it, Russell Westbrook, you think he has no value. But just 2 seasons ago, Russell Westbrook was still being talked about as one of the best point guards in this league. Russell Westbrook is a solidified superstar. I'm gonna stand here and say that he is able to still be a great player. However, he needs to be the main ball handler in an offense. And one of the great places he can do that is the Indiana Pacers. This trade consists of Indiana receiving Russell Westbrook, a 2027 first-round pick, a 2029 first-round pick, and the Los Angeles Lakers receive Buddy Hield and Malcolm Brogdon. Now, this trade works for both teams in the fact that Russell Westbrook gives them a star for Indiana. The Pacers are kind of rebuilding, kind of not. That's just kind of how the Pacers are. They can be bottom seed in the playoffs, but they still look to compete, and they still look to go very far. Russell Westbrook gives them a main ball handler, a main superstar next to Tyrese Halliburton, and he'll be able to lead that young team to the playoffs, maybe even a little bit farther if he still has it. Now for the Lakers get their three-point scoring that they need and another point guard in Malcolm Brogdon. Now, Malcolm Brogdon is injury-prone, but he is a lot better in Russell Westbrook with the Lakers offense playing with LeBron. So the Lakers do this deal, and the Pacers do this deal because it works out for both teams. So this is probably the best-case scenario for the Los Angeles Lakers going into next season. You have to trade Russell Westbrook. No, I don't think anybody's going to trade LeBron. And Anthony Davis, I think teams are too wary to trade for him just because of his injury history. But make no mistake, the Los Angeles Lakers still could be a good team, but they have a lot of moves to make moving forward. Now going on into the playoffs, talking about the playoffs, some very interesting matchups coming up. You have Miami Heat versus the Philadelphia 76ers, Bucks Celtics, Suns Mavericks, and Grizzlies Golden State Warriors. Now, 2 of those series really stick out to me, and that is the Bucks Celtics, Grizzlies Warriors. I want to talk about the Suns Mavericks, the other 2 series briefly, but there's not just a whole lot to talk about. With the Suns versus the Mavericks, Luka Doncic is 1-8 versus DeAndre Ayton in his career, and the Suns are just a very deeper, very much more well-built team. They have Devin Booker's back healthy, and that team should probably finish the Mavericks in 5 games, maybe 6 games. With the Miami Heat versus 76ers series, Joel Embiid is hurt. He's out at least game 1 and 2, maybe even the whole series. And James Harden is not the superstar that can carry them past the Miami Heat. I see Miami also winning in 5 games, maybe 6. Now, talking about the Bucks and the Celtics. The Bucks are reigning Eastern Conference Final champions. Reigning Finals champions. So they're a very well-constructed team. They have the best player in the world in Giannis Antetokounmpo. Very well-built team, very big, very physical. However, Chris Middleton is injured. That team is a totally different team without Chris Middleton. Without Giannis is a very excellent scorer. Jrue Holiday is an excellent defender. But Chris Middleton is a very clutch performer. A very clutch shooter. Even a better scorer than Giannis is at this point. With his mid-range and three-pointers. So that's a very different team without Chris Middleton. Boston Celtics are the up-and-coming team. They're young, they're hungry. They have Jason Tatum, a superstar. Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, the Defensive Player of the Year. So this is going to be one of the more interesting series of the whole playoffs. But I'm going to pick the upset. I think, well, not really the upset, but, finals champions versus the young Celtics. I'm picking the Boston Celtics to win this series. I believe this series is about to go 6, maybe 7 games. Very entertaining, very close games. This is going to be much-watched television. Going back to the Western Conference Finals, we have 2 of the best teams in the Western Conference, in the Memphis Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors. Now, obviously, Golden State is a team that's been here before. A very talented dub team. Still have Steph Curry, greatest three-point shooter, greatest shooter alive, maybe even ever. They have Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole. They have a new death lineup with Jordan Poole in it. Very deep, very talented team. Memphis also is a very deep and talented team as well. They have Ja Morant, up-and-coming superstar. And even without Ja Morant, the team is 17-2 without Ja Morant on the floor in the games that he's been out. So this is a very well-built team around Ja Morant, and this is going to be one of the more interesting series in the whole playoffs. Now, Golden State has the experience and star power, so I'm going to pick Golden State to win in 6 games, maybe 7. Memphis is probably going to put up a good fight. But I'm expecting the Suns and the Warriors Western Conference Finals. I'm expecting the Celtics and the Heat Eastern Conference Finals. Definitely some fun matchups to watch moving forward. And, I'm just very excited to watch and see how this all unfolds. Thank you all for tuning in, and I hope you all have a good week. Adios.